So just state your names for me, please.
Karin Kirchhoff.
And Travis Johnson.
Thank you. Okay, and how many children do you guys have?
2 that we're aware of.
Okay. So how much for each of you in your own personal lives at work, how much do you use and how much does does technology affect your life overall with work and personally?
Yeah, so I'm in marketing and fundraising for nonprofits, so technology is what I do all day long.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the computer for 8 or 10 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
Then I run an IT help desk, and yeah.
So that's your whole work.
My whole work.
Okay. So what kind of limits with your children and what kind of rules do you have in regards to technology and social media, etc.?
So the kids get, generally speaking, about 20 or 30 minutes of screen time a day, and that, we sometimes let them choose the iPad or they can watch a show, and that's generally it.
Yeah, they on Saturday and Sunday they do get a little TV time in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Saturday morning cartoons.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And each time your child gets a new form of technology, an app, watches a new show, how much time would you say you put into learning about it and understanding exactly what that entails?
You're better with TV.
Yeah, I screen the movies pretty well,
mm-hmm.
and what they watch as far as on Netflix and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
When we download an app, I don't do any research. It's usually puzzles or
mm-hmm.
some kind of learning game.
Yeah, or Greta will come home from school. They have iPads in the 2nd grade, and she'll come home from school with, we did this app
mm-hmm.
at school today. I want to put it on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but we had to turn on the password so Greta wouldn't download any apps or something.
Right.
She's pretty smart.
Yeah.
Savvy with the iPad now.
Right. And how do you feel about them using iPads in school?
I don't really like it.
You don't?
I don't.
Can you go into it?
Yeah, I mean, the reason I don't really like it, there's a bunch of reasons. First of all, I think it's, I question how important it is for kids to have that level of technology sort of forced upon them almost in the school system or by the school system. I also question, I've started to read now studies that have come out that when people read books on electronic devices, Kindles and iPads and so forth, they don't retain as much as when you read a paper book.
Mm-hmm.
And so I question the efficacy of the device as a learning
mm-hmm.
Opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
The flip side of that is, Greta can make a keynote presentation she's 8 years old. So there's something to be said for that, as somebody who does public speaking and is, has to have a comfort level with technology. I don't think we know what the long-term sort of benefit or negatives for that matter are. But I do think that 8 it seems to me a little bit young to have that stuff in the classroom anyway.
Yeah, and I agree with her. I think 8's a little too young. You're never not going to be around technology. They need that immersion in technology,
mm-hmm.
but I think 8 is too young for that.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that you've seen any sort of negative effects of the presence of technology? Do you think that your kids play outside and play with toys less than you did or, even my age did?
Well, I mean, certainly they played less than we did because technology didn't exist the way it exists now. Our kids compared to other kids in their same age group, I think our kids are outside fairly often,
mm-hmm.
because we limit their screen time. The reason that you can hear us talking now is because they're outside,
mm-hmm.
playing with chalk or on the swing or whatever.
Right.
So we sort of force them to be outside. We are also outside a fair amount. Certainly I think it affects or is a presence in their life far more than it was for me anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But compared to other kids, I would say it's probably less of an influence.
Yeah. And in what ways do you think technology and social media can encourage kids and people in general to connect with the non-digital world?
I don't know how social media would do that.
If they see an app that has something to do with math or with nature, do you think they're going to say, oh, now I'm going to play this app more, or oh, I'm actually going to go out and be involved in nature or whatever?
I think, technology has opened a whole world of possibilities for kids and
mm-hmm.
adults. I mean, you can go to Google and learn anything you ever want to know about anything in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a fascinating thing. Instead of Greta and Cameron coming to me asking, Daddy, what does this mean? And I go, I have no idea. We go to the internet and look it up together.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think that's a very valuable too.
And do you think that's like a bonding, like a bonding experience for you, like in a social way?
Yeah, I think in a social way, and I think, yeah.
Okay. And can you talk about the negativity of being able to access things on the internet so easily?
Yeah,
if you don't mind.
So we had to lock down Safari on the iPads. We have iPads. We had to lock down Safari because, Greta listens to top 40 music, and lots of times top 40 artists are singing about things being sexy. And Greta, when she was in kindergarten, I think,
Yeah, kindergarten.
Googled or Safari'd, I guess, sexy pictures, and saw things that 6-year-olds should not see.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know about it until later that day when she couldn't go to sleep that night. And as I probed and sort of asked her what the problem was, this came out, and it was really, really, really a hard thing to deal with, and something I didn't think I was going to have to deal with,
Right.
with a 6-year-old. So we've since locked that down, and we've had conversations that we, like I said, didn't think we'd have to have yet. But that's an entry point into the world that wasn't sort of, I guess it was something I'm aware of, and that you need to have those kinds of restrictions on technology.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't think it was necessary at 6.
Yeah, for sure. So how would you compare being an 8 or 10-year-old or even a 3-year-old now in 2015 to when you were kids? Is it better? Is it negative? Is it different? I mean,
I think we have a negative connotation just because of when I was young.
right.
I walked up 3 hills in a snowstorm to get to school, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate technology, as I said earlier. That,
Mm-hmm.
you can find anything you're wanting to know
Mm-hmm.
on the internet, and you can reach out to people that you would never come in contact with.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely opportunities that go far beyond what we had as kids. But the flip side of that is we know a lot more, and so it makes us more fearful of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that's concerning to me, because our kids don't have the same freedoms that we had when we were kids anyway.
Mm-hmm. And we touched on this before, but do you feel like compared to other parents that you are more limiting or restrictive of the amount of screen time or technology time that your kids get?
Yeah, we definitely are.
Mm-hmm. And do you see, not to talk about other people's children negatively, but do you see other kids that you sort of see not interacting in a more real way that you think, wow, they should have more limitations, or are there kids Greta's age with iPhones that you think that's wrong and they shouldn't do that?
Yeah, honestly, where it bothers me is that we're the kinds of parents who are like, go outside and go play, go on the porch with chalk, go on the swing, do whatever. But there's other kids aren't just out unless they're out with their parents, and the television or the iPad or whatever sort of serves as a substitute for that activity. So I would say it's less sort of about behavior necessarily that I see in other kids that is maybe connected to the technology, and more about my kids can play with each other, but they have a harder time playing with other kids because those other kids are mostly not out.
Right, and they don't know as much about the proper ways to go play outside and stuff. So so how do you make decisions about when your children are ready for something new, a new, more mature TV show or a new device that has certain implications for how they might interact, or Facebook, or
So I've noticed that Greta, as she grows, she's interested in more not cartoons but live action shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's the one who's driving that change, and for us to kind of key in on that.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted to download this app that lets you grow a pet or something.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm fine with. It shows but I key off of what she is starting to evolve and starting to know.
Right.
Learn.
I would say generally we're not usually introducing technology.
Mm-hmm.
The iPads are sort of, we brought them into the house. The kids didn't really ask for them, and we use them on trips and stuff like that. And the kids know how to get to movies.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I wouldn't wouldn't say we're introducing that much technology into the house.
No, it's 'cause we're
Generally
cheap, too.
speaking. We are, we're cheap.
And just to wrap it up, do you think, your children's generation and future generations are, using technology to move forward as humans, or do you think it's sort of devolving us and, we're sort of doomed to lose our ability to interact?
Yeah. So I'm 38 years old, and I hire a lot of 20-year-olds.
It's going to be like a bunch of 20-year-olds.
So I hire a bunch of 20-year-old kids who don't have the social aspects of being in a society. They lack that kind of interaction,
Right.
and that's what I'm afraid of as we get more, tech savvy and use our iPads and our phones all the time. My kids are going to
Right.
suffer because of that. Because a huge part of growing up and a huge part of being, in business is building relationships. And 90%
And
of
life,
people,
too.
And being
Yeah.
able to have a conversation with somebody and not just text or interact with somebody on social media.
Right.
And I would say 90% of the people that I hire lack that skill. They lack that bonding skill. So,
But I don't think that's technology's fault. I think that's how we use technology.
well, you got
Right.
your head down. You got your head down. You look
Right,
down. You
right.
never look at somebody in the eye.
Walking.
You don't
Yeah.
know. When somebody sends an email, it's always short script.
Right.
Texting, and I have no idea what they're talking about
Yeah.
because I'm old and curmudgeon.
Right.
You just said you were young a minute ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, whatever the new thing is, you always have to figure out how to use it and how to incorporate it into your life and how, to not have it take over your life. And I feel like with a lot of the technology, that's sort of where we are right now. And that, Travis's comment about your generation, frankly, having a harder time frequently interacting with people, one-on-one is a good example of that. And so,
Right.
and there's sort of a correction on some level that needs to happen.
Great. So do you think, to sum it up, good, bad technology?
I think it's generally good.
If you had to make a decision.
No, I think it's good
I think
because I
it's-
get paid a lot of money to
Right.
support it.
You guys are heavily involved in
Right.
it, so,
Right.
No, I mean, it's pushing us forward. I think we're moving forward as a society. Like I said, I can call somebody in China. I can chat with somebody in China right now. I
Yeah.
couldn't have done that when I was a kid.
Right.
That's amazing.